Okay, intense day today. I was super happy because the podcast went live today, but it had a few hiccups for sure. So just to run them down real quick, I tried to go ahead and launch off a Soundtrap. Was up on Spotify, no problem. Decided to switch over and go to Anchor to put it on there, and ended up getting a duplicate of the podcast on Spotify. Not good, could cause confusion for the fans. So reached out to the Anchor or Spotify support, and they were able to take down the RSS feed that fed from Anchor, which is a good thing. So now I only have one up there, which is awesome. However, I did run into some developmental and just kind of thought process related issues. So one was, if I haven't and are using Spotify to push, what about the rest of them? Apple, Pocket Casts, Google, etc. And if Anchor's going to create a duplicate, is that the best method to be able to execute on? So looking around, I ended up finding Podbean, which is a really robust app, and also, functionality and website, which also has the ability to go live and have people call in, which is exactly what I was finding a way to look for. So I think that I can do that live podcasting, and have people call in right from the show, and then Ideaprov right on the spot. So that's kind of huge. So I went ahead and signed up for that. Plus it can push to all the platforms. Had a hell of a time trying to must have wasted at least about an hour and change trying to get through uploading the RSS feeds to get it to work on Apple. Switched over to try and get it to Google. It says it's missing an email, and had to go through a whole bunch of rigmarole and running the pages to get that taken care of. So that was a little bit exhausting, kind of sucked away a good portion of my day, but I did learn a lot today for sure. Also scheduled a post for tomorrow morning. So one of these, the first video learning journal, log, whatever you feel like calling it, such as this, is going to go live tomorrow morning around 9, and then about 9:30 the social aspect of it will be able to be reflected as well. So that will be super helpful to kind of get things out. I still have to figure out how YouTube is allegedly supposed to push some of the socials as well, because I'm finding that some of the videos, depending on how many platforms that I'm pushing to, it's challenging. So some of these videos are longer, like this is 3, 4, 5 minutes. I've seen one up to 11. There's no way that Instagram is going to be able to do that. I'll have to switch it. I'll have to pretty much manually post it in Insta, so that way I can post it as an IGTV versus an actual post. Same thing with TikTok, because TikTok is only like a max of like 60 seconds or something like that. So I have to reevaluate how I'm going to do that, because originally I was going to post these all on there, but it looks like I can't, just because of the way the platform is set up. So I think that these vlogs are going to end up going to the Ideaprov, maybe LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram TV. Twitter as well, but Twitter is so reading heavy and non-visual, but people love visual stuff, so I might as well put it on there too. So intense feed from there. Podbean live option, which was set up. Apple Podcasts, murderous. Google Podcasts, scheduled a YouTube video, and all that stuff. So things that I learned today were really just how intense the whole back end of podcasting and the hosting is. I knew it was intense, but learning some more on that, whether it's RSS feeds, XML documents, and all that jazz. But it's entertaining. It's learning by doing. So this is fun. So definitely, if you start to get in that space, research a little bit beforehand. There's some of these things, keep it proprietary on the back end. Like I saw, Simplecast was another option I was thinking of going with, and in addition to Podbean. But I think the learn there is I wouldn't have known to not go with Anchor. Not to say that I still won't, but I wouldn't have known to not go with Anchor if I hadn't made that mistake and kind of put it up there and ended up having a duplicate. So that's a good, trial by fire learning. So Podbean, as far as another learn, it's good for my usage. I think it was the only application out there that I could see you can host anywhere, right? So there's Simplecast, there's Podbean, there's a plethora of other ones out there. One look like Brussels sprouts or something like that. Anyway, you gotta find the one that works for you. So for me, the most influential, because Simplecast had a nice functionality in which people could edit the snippets of your podcast and then repost it on their socials, which was fantastic. However, I've learned from in the past when developing an ecosystem like this that I cannot, I don't want to say rely on other people, but I can't make that the central focus if I want people to do it. So at least this way, I can kind of control the narrative almost, if you will, which would allow me to press forward on other aspects and come back to that at a different date. But at least here, the prime function of Ideaprov is to get people together to build ideas for a common goal, a common solution in real time. And there's no way that I can pass on a functionality that means that I can go live and have people call in. That's exactly like dead on what I'm trying to do and accomplish. So kind of had to go with that one. So I think it'll be good. I don't think I'll push it immediately. I need to kind of develop a little bit more of a following, but I could see in a couple of months going down there and say, hey, I'm gonna have a topic of X, call in and let's kind of try and figure out a way to solve this in a fun fashion. So I think that'll be good. So one takeaway was learning while doing. It's just a trial and error process. I would have never known about the duplicate things if, I thought you might be able to select each one that you wanted to expose your podcast to, but looking at it from an outsider's perspective, why would you kind of ask? It doesn't really make sense. Like, you want to get your podcast out there as much, so they're going to push it to everything that they can. It's not going to be a select and go. That would make it a lot more painful on the back end. So learning by doing, just got to do. More good uses, find the podcast that you use. And then the last learning was a little bit of patience, in which I typically always have a lot of, but I'm not gonna lie, I was running thin when I hit the Apple ecosystem. I had to create an Apple ID, and it was taking me in loops and loops because I needed an Apple iTunes account, and I didn't have that because I don't usually work in the Apple ecosystem, and it's looping me around on the internet. So had to use some patience there. So good day. There's definitely a lot more little things that I want to tackle and accomplish, but I'm happy with the progress and just got to keep pushing. I need to set aside a day in which I'm just going to push content into the socials to get them going. But I need to create, before I do that, I need to create the pipeline of how I'm going to post episodes effectively. So I'm pretty well there. I just have to loop in the Google Podcast function and then see how it all gets to some of the other ones. And then I also have to look at the website hosting, because the website on Podbean is like so I might just use it as a way for, if people get there to listen, to push to the Wix site that would be a little bit more robust. But there's a cost associated with it. I don't know how much that is. I know Podbean was $9 a month, so I had to update that in the budget. So if you do it right, it might cost a little bit of money. So this is something I just have to kind of keep in mind, but it's another day. You got to keep pushing. So I'll be back with you soon.